Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Honeycutt, the Communications Specialist for BBB, and I'm excited to welcome you to our BBB Business Builders webinar featuring Betty Gardner from ProTrain to share how you can continue developing yourself, your employees, and your business during these crazy times. Without further delay, we'll dive into today's webinar, but just want to remind you, if you have any questions during the webinar, please drop them in the questions box and we'll be sure to get to them. So Betty, I'll pass it off to you to get us started.
Okay, I'm looking for the button where I can show screen. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. It might be a small group, but I'll tell you, numbers do not matter in what we can impact and make a change on our business and on our lives. I hope to impart today to you some enthusiasm, hopefully some words of wisdom, and most importantly, if anybody on this call that I reach, if you feel like you want to have a sidebar chat, I'm there for you. The last that I heard, we had some auto repair, restoration services, and cybersecurity attendees, and I think we can address, even though they're all different, I think we can address some good tips, practices for all of us. I want to let you know I am a small business, and during these COVID times, I probably share with you the sleepless nights, wondering what am I going to do to stay in business, because probably just like you, the word failure is not in my vocabulary. The sleepless nights of wondering, how am I going to take care of my employees? What can I do for them and for me? So, you have some sense of normalcy. So today we're going to talk about how to get your new virtual norm on, because that's what you got to do. No matter what business you are, you got to figure out a new way of doing business. Continue your professional development. That means for yourself and or for your employees. Professional development, how am I going to do business differently? Do I need to add a new skill set? How can you service your population? Are you a retail store where people come in and out and buy your goods and services? Are you an auto repair shop where you've got to physically be there and working on something? Are you in the IT industry, which, by the way, is booming right now? Between now and in 2020, there's approximately 1 million IT openings. Between now and 2025, there'll be 1.6 million IT openings. Consider that. We're going to talk about how you, as a business owner, can develop yourself and different ways of communication to your employees, because what you have to have with your employees and your customers is a single source of truth. Is that your website? Are you going to be innovative and use an Animoto and create a 30-second little video of you, the owner, talking to your customers or your employees? We also have some online self-paced mentored offerings that might be able to benefit you, the owner, or your employees. This is not a sales pitch on ProTrain classes. This is absolutely about how we as small business owners can bond together and help each other, and some best practices that we all in this time can practice together. And who knows, this may actually, for the owners that are on this call and employees, we might see some synergy in how we all can work and bond together in ways we never saw. I will, at the end of the presentation, we have a yearly conference. The name of it is Continuing Education Training Institute, where we have people from all walks of life. We've had people CDL, roofing, WIOA, medical, human resources, etc., that are speakers and panelists. And this year we had to go virtual live with our conference. And let me tell you, planning a year-long conference and in the last couple of months having to plan it virtual has been a learning opportunity that we've embraced. And attendance will be free for anyone that wants to attend. You, your employees, coworkers, etc. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as was stated, put your questions in the chat session. Everybody's question will be answered. And if we do run out of time, we will type up the answers and send them to the group. But I think we'll be good. So my contact information is in the upper left-hand corner, and we'll get started. I love this picture because it's basically me in a nutshell. I'm a cat lady. I have 2 cats and I love plants. Last name Gardner, go figure. So we're going to learn about working and learning options from the bubble that we're in, because life can't stop just because, something changed. We have to change. We have to embrace change and figure out how to do what we want to do and how to accomplish it, perhaps in different and innovative ways.
Betty, I think that you're still on the main screen. I think it didn't click over to the next tab.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I was clicking on my screen, it was changing. I apologize.
That's okay.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm on the main screen again, and I've just hit to the next slide. Did you see that?
It looks like it's still on the main one. I'm wondering if it has to do with being in presenter mode.
I don't know. I will ask you this. Can you see me in slideshow view where my slides are on the left-hand side?
No, I cannot.
Okay, well, you did give me presenter mode.
Yeah, it's still, okay, let's try this again. Yeah, try to share your screen again. Okay, now I see your slides.
Okay, let me go back, and I apologize, audience. So I'm going to go from beginning, and now I'm going to the second slide. Do you see the second slide now?
Yep, that went to the second one. Thanks. Not sure what happened there.
No problem. And thank you, everyone in the audience, for patience. And this is real life, isn't it? I mean, we're all working from the bubble and making sure that we're trying to come across as professional as possible. But that's pretty much me. Either a cat is on my lap or behind my chair with my plants, and I'm working. I'm sure you all are trying to do something as similar. And I just, for a double check, do we see the screen of the United States of America now?
Yep, you're all good. Looks like it's working.
Right, cool. I know that I think everybody on this call is from North Carolina, but if you put in the chat session what city you're from, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm close to the original Wake Tech site on 401. But it's just nice to know. And we use this slide for presentations that we do because we do work nationally with universities, community colleges, and we're always wanting to know, where are you from? So some daily wellness checklist. And these are, nothing that I'm going to tell you today is rocket science. It's all common sense. It's easy to get into a rut. Get out of your pajamas, get ready, drink plenty of water, do some stretching. For me, I actually love to take a break and just go outside and walk to go to the mailbox or water my flowers in my garden. Try to eat good, connect with people. It's good to continue to socialize. And my organization, ProTrain, we've been virtual for 16 years, so working from home and the computer is normal for me. What I'm freaking out about now is, lack of sales, which I'm sure you all are as well. But it starts to become human nature because you can hear the inflection in my voice, whether you're talking to your employees or you're reaching out to past customers or people who have had a lead on your website. Just talk to them and imagine, and just like I'm doing, I'm throwing my hands up in the air while I'm talking to you. They'll understand because, you say you have all these senses, and when you lose one, the other senses take into play. And people can feel the enthusiasm, the compassion, and the passion in your voice, and they'll know that you're being sincere. And make sure you get up and about and walk or do some sort of daily workout because it's just good for your health. Believe me, I'm living your world right now. In my
And Betty, I
organization,
mentioned we had a few people chime in. We've got people from Raleigh, Youngsville, Holly Springs, Apex. Just wanted to throw those out. Thank you
oh,
guys
okay,
for commenting.
that's great. You guys are right around me. I mean, we're all living this together, and I'd love to, if possible, if you all want to have like a little sidebar off this webinar group chat at some point, love to do it. I love people. In my
And we've also got someone from Jacksonville.
Okay,
Just
welcome
wrote in.
Jacksonville. Okay. So your businesses are different than mine, I'm sure. Like I said, I knew that we had some auto repair, restoration, some cybersecurity. My business does training. And what do you think is the first thing that people cut when things go bad? Training. So it's rough out there. So I'm right there with you. But we are about transforming individuals into professionals, professional development, certifications, etc., skill sets. But how can we work remotely when your office closes for any reason? Well, it's just some tips and tricks. This is not rocket science. I'm not the authority. I'm just a person that's practicing what I'm going to ask you all to do as well. Uh, Outreach, engage, and offer to do webinars. Offer to get yourself out there so people can say, well, I didn't know that they existed, but they're giving me information. They seem like a good company, and maybe I might want to reach out to them. I challenge each and every one of you on this webinar to do the same thing that I'm doing. I outreach to the Better Business Bureau. I ask them, could I give a webinar to my fellow BBB members? And they were gracious enough to let me. And I will tell you and recommend, continue to look at the BBB website for tips and tricks and things for us small business owners. I know that I do. They've been wonderful. We've been a member. ProTrain was formed in 2004. We've been a member since 2007. We've maintained an A+ rating since then. They are wonderful to work with, and if you reach out to them, they're always there to help you. So that's my plug for the BBB. But here's how individuals can successfully operate as remote professionals. My best advice for you, for your employees, and for your customers is to treat communication like air. You have to pump it through the system. Your employees don't know what's going on in your mind. You have to have a single source of truth, which is either your website or you're having regular phone calls with all your employees. All of your employees might be me, myself, and I. You might have 2 or 3, or you might have multiple, but you have to have a regular way of communicating so everybody knows what's going on. So nobody doesn't say anybody could have done it, nobody did it, somebody could have, but nobody did it. And I say that to my employees quite often that, communication is prominent. The written word is forever. So whether you're having a regular conference call, and by the way, freeconferencecall.com works and it's free. I use it. We use Skype, we use Teams, we use the GoToWebinar. We use Zoom. So my company uses multiple ways to be able to outreach and engage customers, leads, and employees. I encourage you to do the same, but no matter what method you use, you must let everybody know what's going on so nobody is wondering and making up rules on their own. Because as a business owner, you are responsible for the good, the bad, and the ugly. No matter what things happen in my organization, if it's great, I'll give credit to my employees, and I know that, or maybe I in some way contributed to their success. If it's bad, it's always my fault. That's quite obvious. And I have to take responsibility for it, just like you all do. So communication is key. Understand the ground rules. You and your employees need to understand you're still a professional. You need to come across professionally. Just because you might be home working behind the computer in your pajamas and not sharing your screen, that doesn't mean that it's, we get to use, LOL, all those types of things. No, we're professionals. We need to treat each other, no matter who it is we're talking to, as a professional. And we need to carve out space in our house. We need to set a schedule. If you are working in your home and you have your spouse, significant other, perhaps children, other members of your family that may be living with you, find out where your space is going to be. Is it in the bedroom, spare bedroom? Is it at the kitchen table? Is it in the den? And is it in the garage? Find where your space is, carve it out, and you have office hours. I don't care if you tie a sock to the doorknob. That is a signal to the people that's in your space. I'm working. It's really important. It's real easy to get up and just go start a load of dishes or clothes or answer the door because a neighbor that's retired wants to come chit chat because they see their car in the driveway. No, you have to set parameters and carve out your space. It's really important. I have to carve out space with my cats that I can't play with them. Establish boundaries for friends, families. I think we just said that. We need to, they need to understand you may not be going into work, but you are at work. Use the tools that you have available to you. Not every business has the same tools. I've already mentioned, Skype, Teams, Zoom, go to webinar series, etc. Use what you have in your organization. They will work. If anybody wants any tips and tricks, I'm not saying that I'm the expert by no means, but I can tell you I've used most all of them and be happy to share and bond and show you some tips and tricks if you would like. You must maintain a professional mindset. So when you're using your tools, well, let's say you're using Skype or Teams, etc. Green means I'm available. Red means I'm on a call. Red with a line through it means do not disturb me. You can do away, like when you're going to lunch. And that's a way of communication for you and your employees so they know your status. In addition to, it's extremely important more than ever to update your calendar so your fellow employees can see and not double book you and not try to call you when you're in the middle of a webinar like I'm doing right now. They see on my calendar, I'm busy, I'm giving a webinar. Please don't call me. And likewise for you to know when they're busy or available. It's just common courtesy. Keep a professional mindset. Get up, get dressed, brush your teeth, take a shower, put some clothes on, get out of the pajamas. It will make you feel better. I promise you. And continue to network online. Take your business, if you hadn't already, take it online. Do the Facebook, do the LinkedIn, do the Twitter, do the Instagram. If you need help with that, you can reach out. I'm offering, if you want to have some help on that, reach out to us. We'll help you figure that out together. It makes a world of difference. And a lot more people are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and they're actually doing live sessions talking about their product. If you're not comfortable with a live session, I would encourage you to videotape yourself and just talk about what your organization is, what you do, and it's like you're creating your own little commercial. You can post that to your Facebook page and ask all your friends and family to post it out. That's organic marketing. Did not cost you a dime, just your time. So other things that we're trying to practice, just call your customers, check on them, and not try to sell them, not all the time. How are you doing? Oh, I know you just recently had a baby or a death in the family. How are you doing? Letting them know that you too, in this uncertain times, you're a human being and you just want to see how they're doing. That relationship and that bond will prove tried and true through these uncertain times when we come back. So don't always be selling. Strengthen your brand. Your brand is who you are as a business owner. I always tell people it takes a lifetime to build your reputation, and it takes a couple of whats to ruin it. Take the time to continue to build your reputation. People will remember that. I got some 5 E's here, and I had to tailor this a little bit because most of the time I do talk to schools. but I actually enjoy having a new audience, and I hope that I impart some stuff on you because I really like to get to know you guys. But what are the 5 E's? Empathy for some very profound personal situations. I have had vendors that have had family members die of COVID. I had a neighbor that within the last 2 weeks, not only her sister, but her mother died this morning. Have empathy for personal situations with your customers, as well as your neighbors and your family. Now's the time to show that you really are a decent human being and you care. Encourage that personal connection, as we've been talking about. Embrace technology. I realize that not every business, eats up technology like others. Some use it more than others, but you need to at least get a basic level of technology, email, your Facebook, LinkedIn, company page to get the word out. And believe me, I don't know it all. I work with a great group of people that I've hired and I entrust to help me through trying times because one human being cannot do everything. And I don't want you to feel like you're alone. We'll be happy to advise you, give you any help that we can that's acceptable. Ensure your clients have access to you. Single source of truth, your website. We are working virtually now. We're working on limited hours now. We're running discount for. You don't have to say because of COVID virus. That's probably obvious. But run various discounts based on seasons, just like you normally would with people coming into your store. Engage your clients through online learning on your website of what you have to offer. Are you offering free shipping? I mean, Amazon's going crazy now. Instacart delivering groceries is going crazy now. Find what can you do. Will you allow people to shop on your website and will you offer free delivery? That's your decision, but it's things that you can consider to do. We're going to talk about briefly some 10 tips to make it work, how you can work remotely anytime that you want to, whether COVID is here or not. And again, some of this is tailored for education, but it actually fits your business as well. Who is your audience? I mean, what industry do you work in? Who comes to your store? What do they buy? Are there seasonal times that they buy? Figure that out and make a little plan, make a checklist of, well, here's my audience, here's what they buy, here's when they buy it, what can I do to attract, and how can I do that virtually? And you may find that when we're able to open back up, that you probably want to embrace the face-to-face, but you probably want to also do the virtual as well because it really works. I mean, it truly does. Figure out how you're going to communicate with your leads, with your employees. Are you going to send out one message to many, be a text, if you will, or an email? Are you going to do an audio or a video with Skype or Teams or Zoom? How are you going to collaborate? How are you going to have staff meetings? I mean, for 16 years, we have virtual staff meetings, and they work just fine. I'd love to share about that if anybody wants to know. And, how do I plan for COVID? I will tell you, our company, we filled out for the PPP 3 times, different organizations, and I was starting to sweat bullets, and we finally, thank you, God, finally got it approved and we got our funding this morning. I've been so busy today, I hadn't had a chance to be able to put my plan in process, but after this webinar, I sure will. But you need to plan the first 5 days. How are you going to change your company? How are you going to still sell your product or your consulting services, tangible or intangible? And, these are just rules of thumbs. It could take you 2 days, it could take you 5 days or whatever. Set up the new ways to operate. Inform your employees. Make sure that they have an at-home working situation, ways to monitor them. I can monitor my employees because I have a phone system. that I know each and every employee, what call came in, what call went out, so I know how many times that they're making calls or not. I can tell you how many times they have a Teams call, who it's with, and how long it was. I know how many times they sent emails during the day. So I can monitor, and it's not like Big Brother is watching, but when you're not all in the same building, you want to see results and you want to make sure you've got the right staff that knows how to work remotely. And after you get those plans in place, just continue to operate and watch it work. There will be ebbs and flows, just like with my company, ebb and flow with sales. Yours too, we're no different. Like I said, make sure that you soften the ground for audiences and make sure you have that single source of truth where they know. I want to know what's going on with my company. I want to know as a customer what's going on with the company that may want to purchase something. Provide those checklists for employees. You, the employer, you're the one that needs to make the checklist, and you want your employees to follow everybody be on the same sheet of music. Follow these lists and we'll get through these time, because remember, failure's not in our vocabulary. We want to be leaders. We want to make sure we support our employees, make them feel comfortable, make sure that they can be a leader for your organization as well. Schedules and timelines and checklists are great. And again, it's just different options, how you lead your organization with your employees. Are you going to do face-to-face in person? Probably not right now. Are you going to do face-to-face synchronous through Teams, through Skype? Probably. That's probably good, so they can hear your voice, they can see your face. Phone calls are great. Conference calls are good. Document everything, with your asynchronous emails and shared documents. We just need to make sure that everybody is inclusive and everybody feels like they know what's going on. In the world of education, I would be remiss. What we do at my organization is we have 3 different ways of modalities of training people: training leaders of organizations, the employees of organizations, unemployed, underemployed, military spouses, military. We have the gambit of, we train everybody that wants to learn and improve themselves through education to employment. Self-paced online. If you're the personality, I want to take a class, leave me alone. I'll let you know if I have a question. You can take it at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's for you. In classroom, on hold right now. But the only difference between live online and in classroom is live online is through the computer, just like we are now. And if we were holding a class, you would see my face. You would see your students, fellow students. And the only thing we couldn't do is shake hands. It's exactly the same thing. So a structured time through a web link, and everything else is the same. So think about your company and how you want to be able to have your employees communicate with you, and or if you're providing them any professional development. There's different ways to accomplish the same goal. Some of the live online instructor-led programs that we have that may benefit some of you as organizations are on the screen. I'm not going to read them to you because you will get a copy of this presentation. And if you're interested in training, obviously I'm a small business too. I'm looking to provide training. So I appreciate you looking at the slide. We have over 500 online programs to choose from in various different categories, as you can see on the right-hand side. And every small business owner does need to take the time to invest in themselves, to better themselves, and to help their employees. The best commodity that you can have is not only yourself, but your employees, and showing your employees that you value them as human beings, because you want them to stay with you for a long time. You want to have a person that you can trust, so then you can therefore grow your company to the next level, so you're not having to worry about somebody leaving and having to start all over again training someone again. I live that too. I really do. And that is one of the most expensive things a small business owner can do, is to constantly have to have turnover and train. That time is expensive. So we offer certifications, and just so you know, 65% of all jobs today do not require a degree. As a small business owner, I just want to know you can get the job done. And if I have, if it requires a certification, if I'm in the restaurant business, do I want the person to have culinary cert safe? If I'm in IT, do I want them to make sure that they have CompTIA at the bare minimum, the A plus, Net plus, Security plus? You know, restoration services. Do I want them to have, it could be interior design. It could be, even, the actual doing. I want to make sure that the people that I hire have the skill sets to do it. I can train them my way, but I want them to have at least some base level knowledge. I'm not reading this. This is just for my company. You have the same. The purpose of this is to make sure you have testimonials from your vendors, from your customers that you put on your website and you put on your social media. Because I can tell you all day long how great my company is, but that's just me. What you want is somebody else telling the world how great your company is. That's really important. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but some tips and tricks for 10 ways to get more revenue, clients, and customers during any challenging time. Double down on your spending money. You may say, well, what money? I don't have any money. Well, do things like I'm doing right now. Reach out to the Bbb, reach out to other organizations. Offer to get your name out there, not as an advertisement. I mean, you got to put a little bit in there. You so far you all know ProTrain does training. We do training in 3 different modalities. If you don't take anything else away from ProTrain other than that, that's what my goal was. But reach out and see if you can speak to different organizations. Do a self-animoto, like I said. Make a commercial, put it out on Facebook. Doesn't cost you a dime. Your sales team, get them excited. See how you could reward them in, if you make X sales this month, I might give you an extra day off. How can I make a non-monetary reward for someone that's doing their job and going the extra mile? You are only limited by the creativity and thoughts that you have in your mind. Think differently. Run specials and offer discounts. Don't say it's the COVID discount. You're just running a special. A special that we have right now, just so you know, is someone that buys a certification class. We give them a $200 soft skill bundle class at no charge, either buying it themselves or if they refer somebody to us that buys. So think out of the box what you can bundle and pair together, no matter what it is that your organization is or what you're involved in. Turn everything you're doing into virtual. I virtually can't work on a car. I virtually can't repair a wall, but you can virtually have virtual meetings with your customers. You can social distance to go have them bring the car in so you can fix it. You can virtual distance, you're making an appointment to go restore somebody's house, restore a painting, whatever it is you're restoring. You just have to think ahead about how you can do that and be a problem solver, be a solution provider. Don't think, woe is me. Think, I'm smart and I can figure out a way to get this done. That's my challenge to myself and to all of you. While everybody else is worrying and wringing their hands and their fingers, keep working, keep hustling. Think of ways to reach people that doesn't cause stress on them. More than ever right now, you probably want to concentrate on keeping the customers that you have, the customer base, whether they're buying now or they'll buy later because they realize that you reached out to them and was not putting a lot of pressure. But you do need to politely, persistently, professionally keep touch with the base of who you're trying to market to. Be a leader. Focus on who you are as a leader. Don't talk about how bad it is. Stop the drama. Don't say, oh my God, I couldn't make last week's bills. I couldn't do this. When you're talking to a customer, you be as confident as you ever have been. Because remember, failure is not an option. At least it's not for me. Discipline yourself. Do not allow distractions to happen. There's many times when I'm giving a webinar or I'm talking to a client or a student or a lead or an employee and another phone rings in the background. You have to plan for that. Like I put my cell phone and my desktop phone on mute so I would not be distracted during this. You need to plan for distractions. You need to know if you've got an important virtual meeting with a client, put the cat and the dog in the bedroom and shut the door, and I'll still love you when you open it back. You have to plan for that. We do have to spend money, because if we don't spend money with each other, it's just going to get worse. So, I mean, we're still buying from the grocery store. We're still buying office supply products because I still have to print and do stuff. But with what you have, do what you can, because it helps all of us in the end. Special ways to reach people, we've talked about that. Just continue through social media. And social media, for some of us, myself included, can be scary. I mean, I do Facebook, I do LinkedIn. I couldn't tell you how to do Instagram or Twitter right now unless I got my director of marketing on the line to help me do it. But I have her do it. But if you need help with that, we'll be happy to give you some tips and tricks, because not all of us do it all the time or anytime. But now is the time to learn how to do it and check on your people. How can I help you? I want to see how are you doing? Is there anything that my business can help you with? More than ever, now is the time to be innovative with what you know is tried and true. What have you been doing that works? Figure out another way to do it. Don't reinvent, oh, I was selling this, but now I need to sell that. You need to have faith in yourself of what you've been doing that's right and doing it the right way, and just figure out how a different way to do it. How do I reach out to my customers in a different way to let them know I'm still in business? I can come get your car. I can come to your house. I can do, IT, obviously, that can be remote most anywhere, and all my IT is remote. So IT industry probably is booming rather than not. I mean, obviously, we already talked about Amazon and delivery services are booming, but don't get too many ideas right now out of the scope of what you have been doing and how you're going to do it differently. These are some websites that's helped me. Obviously, I put BBB at the top because they always are going to keep us small businesses in the know. But then as we were looking for funding, we went to the SBA, we went to Small Business Technology, NC Commerce. These are places that we went to. Go to your bank, go to your local bank, and you don't have to, people may not know it, you don't have to just file with your local bank. There are other banks out there that will take small businesses, and they will let you fill out the PPP. We were sweating bullets, but like I said, we got it this morning, and if I can get it, you can get it too. We all need to take virtual breaks. When you're working in the office, in the shop, we all take a lunch break, smoke break, mental break, etc. But if you have a sense of humor, you may enjoy these. If you don't like to laugh, and there may be the occasional 4-letter word in some of these, but I found them to be very funny. I like Rick Springfield because I'm a General Hospital fan, and that's a spoof on one of his 1980s songs. I love Jeff Dunham, and Walter sure is getting his COVID on and making some jokes. And there's some miscellaneous 10 songs from like the 80s coming forward that just has a little spin on it. So that's my gift to you of having an afternoon break where you probably will sit there and laugh a lot. Also, I mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, we do have a yearly conference. It's called Continuing Education Training Institute, CETI for short, and it's been in person in various parts of the country over the last 9 years. We're going into our 10th year, so CETI had to go virtual live, and literally in 2 months, we had to turn a conference around that we were going to have in Savannah, Georgia, into a virtual conference. Luckily, I've been very blessed in that the sponsors, none of them pulled out, and so we've got all of our sponsors, speakers, and instead of charging attendees, we're giving it away. I would ask each business owner, and please share it with your employees, that at no charge of over 5 days in June 8th through 12th, you can sign up for one or all of these professional development sessions. And that's a way of you being able to help yourself or your employees feel like a professional, and that we're all connected. And we've had tremendous outreach and engagement. We have on some webinars over 100 people that have signed up. This may not apply to all of you, but if you are a business owner, I bet there's one in there that might strike your fancy, and it is free, no strings attached, other than we're just going to send you an email of the rendering of the session, and we're going to say thank you for attending, and if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. So obviously, you don't know my background and I don't know yours, but I came from very, let's just say, poor means, and I knew that education was the only way that I could change myself, and it ended up being the gift that I gave to myself to be able to try to help others through education to employment. I'm very proud to have an educational organization to help people, no matter what their industry is, to help themselves and their employees, and help you and your company grow as much as you can. And we're there if you need us, because we're all in this together. Our future is before us. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be different. I'm in it with you if you want to be in it with me. So I want to say thank you, most importantly, to the Better Business Bureau for allowing me the time to talk to you all. It's my way of trying to give. It makes me feel good as a human being. If I helped anybody on this call, I will have accomplished my goal. You attendees, you rock. Be strong. Don't think like you're in it alone. We're in it together. And if anybody wants to reach out to me just to commiserate or brainstorm, you got my information on this page. That is my direct number. And you can see on the right-hand side, we love our BBB, but be bold and willing to challenge your conventional wisdom. What worked in your past is no longer a reliable guide, because you need to make your new future and make that decision. And I will turn it back over to see if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Betty. Yeah, thank you so much. We've gotten a few comments, just people saying thank you. This is great. A very generous offer. Thank you so much. So just a reminder, if you guys have any specific questions, please be sure to put them in the chat box. I have a few though, so I'll go ahead and start with those. The first one says, what is the number one thing you recommend people to work on first if they're trying to improve their professional development?
If you are a leader, work on your listening skills, your patience, and documentation. And I will tell you one thing that I did specifically because of COVID. I'm a small business, and there's not a money tree in my backyard, regardless of what anybody might think. There's just not. I did invest, and I've hired a human resources consultant on a block of time basis, not an employee, to help me during this time when I need to make sure that I'm treating all my employees fairly and that I have everything documented, because Betty doesn't know everything. Betty knows enough to know when she's out of her league and she needs to hire people. But if you're a business owner, you need to figure out where you feel that your deficit is. Is it in accounting, leadership, organization, project management? Just look at yourself in the mirror and ask you, what are you weak in? What is it when somebody asks you a question, you're like, God, I wish you hadn't asked me that question? Does that answer? Does that help? Because without knowing the specifics, I can't recommend a specific thing, but you need to look inside yourself, and then that's where you need to go and take some professional development in.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice. Another question we have says, is it important for me to provide professional development opportunities to my employees? If so, what advice do you have for someone who's never implemented something like this?
Great question, and I'll tell you all the way from the $0 to actually investing. Um, I find it, and I don't know what industry you're in, so I'm going to talk generically. I find when you treat your employees like real human beings and you listen to them and you care for them and you try to help them develop because you want them to stay with you. So you want to help them learn new skill sets that maybe at such point when your organization can afford to, you can promote them either with a pay raise, a title. So there are many things out there, and I shouldn't be saying this as a training organization, but there's many things out there that are definitely free. There are things such as our programs, and with free programs, you really can't, for the most part, track their progress. With ours, we have programs all the way soft skills that are like 8 hours. We have all the way things up to cybersecurity and in between. We can run progress reports because if you, the employer, if you are going to reimburse the employee, if that's how you choose to do it, if they pass, or if you're going to pay for it up front, you certainly want to know that you're getting your money's worth and that they're actually taking the program. But I do find investing in your employees and doing consistent training, professional development is important. Even here at ProTrain, since we're a training organization, we do professional development. We call it PD for short. PD sessions internally quite often. We invite our vendors to come in and educate us on their product line. So that way when we're talking to students, that we absolutely know the real deal. I mean, let's just say you're in the automobile industry or whatever. Maybe you've got certain vendors. Have your vendors come on and be guest speakers for a little 30-minute lunch and learn PD sessions so they know the product line even more. You can get people to be your guest speakers, and they'll be proud to be able to talk to your employees. You can do it for free. You can get internal, external, or you can pay. I hope that helps. But it is very important to show the support that you value that person as a human being in their professional development.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We did get a follow-up question that said, do you recommend providing professional development on the individual level, as a team, or both?
It depends upon what industry you're in. I'll give you examples, like for civil affairs in the military. We've done classes for project management as a group because they all needed to have the same skill set. You may have an employee that, let's say you got a confrontational employee. Nobody's ever had one of those, have they? So if you have one of those, you might want to, when you do their mid-year or yearly performance plan, you may say, I want to invest in you and I want you to take this soft skill program on how to, how to deal with anger, how to deal with stress, how to get along. And it's just between you and that one employee, but that's part of something you're holding them accountable for, because remember, the written word's forever. You have to document. And I'm going to tell you, that's one of the reasons I hired this HR person, is I need to document. We're a great documentation company, but the one thing that will save you as a business owner is documenting everything, date, time, stamp, what it was about, and you get the employee to reply to your email in writing. I acknowledge that we've had this conversation. Does not mean that they agree with it, but you will cover your assets. So you can have group training, you can have independent learning trying to help improve a person for a deficiency, or let's say you've got a person that's really good in Excel and accounting type stuff, but they don't know how to do pivot tables. So you might want to enroll them in a class that's specifically on how to learn pivot tables, because that's going to help their skill sets and it's going to help your company. I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Another question we have is, of the 500 online programs you mentioned, what's your most attended course and or most recommended course that maybe we should attend first?
Oh, well, and I keep saying this, it depends upon your industry. But some of the top selling courses at ProTrain are in the IT. IT is hot. Anything IT. I don't care what it is. Then our entry-level, allied healthcare, your pharmacy tech, your billing and coding, your phlebotomy, your medical assistant, medical admin assistant. We've got a series of top 10 work from home jobs. We started this before the COVID, and it's going crazy now with, people are trying to have a plan B, because even if you're a business owner like me, you always need to have a plan B. So if you're a business owner and you're thinking, well, this just isn't going to work, you might want to do some professional development to figure out something you're interested in that you can work from home. If you're an employee, you probably want to have a plan B, because the company may not be there. So figure out what your interest is and figure out a plan B that you can do professional development now. So if worse comes to worse, but IT and medical are tops. Then you follow that with project management, CAPM, anything in the restaurants, customer service industry, all of those types of things. And if the person that's asking or anyone else that's interested, I do have 4 flyers that I can provide to you offline that tells me, no matter who's paying for it, what the top classes that are sold across the United States are. If you had to go to WIOA, the unemployment office, what they're paying for, who's paying for out of their pocket, and we deal with military spouses. So I can tell you nationwide what the top selling programs are over the last year. Does that help?
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's super helpful. Another question that we have says, what tips do you have for balancing discipline, but also taking mental breaks throughout the day while working from home?
Oh, I'm living your life, whoever asked that. I mean, you get up, you get at your computer, you check your emails, you feed your cats or your dogs, you block out your calendar with appointments that you have with either employees or with leads, what your phone calls are going to be, or your social media, and you take time out to take a morning break. And that morning break may be as simple as, I got up and I pet my cats. I got up and I went outside and I watered a plant. Afternoon break, I got up and went and checked the mail. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you, checking the mail is a highlight for me on my personal life right now. But I love plants. So in the evening, I go out and water my plants. Find out what it is you like to do. And I'll tell you, it is a really rewarding time when I can get on my treadmill. My treadmill is me time. I'm not thinking about my company. I'm not thinking about my worries. Find out where your Zen place is, but you do have to block it. And if you start doing that, if you have employees, like I literally put on my calendar, I put the words block. I am not at my computer now. So that means if the world is ending, you go to my chief operating officer because I'm not there. Does that help?
That's awesome. Thank you for that. The final question that we have says, is there one specific thing I should be doing to develop professionally before potentially going back to work in an office?
Now, is this the employer or an employee?
Employee.
As an employee, personally myself, I'm going to continue to have my little gloves on and social distance for a long time. As an employee, I'd always have plan B in place, and I would continue my professional development in case plan A didn't work out, so you're not stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'd love to talk with you offline if you like. We need to figure out who you are, what you do, what your likes are, what you're likely to be the next stackable skill set. And in today's economy, what you all need is credentials, whether you're an employee or an employer, and what is the next stackable skill that you need to be planning for to make yourself look attractive. And you need to figure out what is it that you like, and can you work, does what you're doing, does it have to be in an office? Can it be done remotely? How can I learn to do it remotely? How do I set up a remote office, if that's what it is? Not every job's that way. Without knowing the specifics, I hope that helped in some way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Betty, I just thank you so much for your time today and for all of our attendees who joined us live and who will be watching afterwards. We're thankful that you were able to join us. Oh, it looks like we got one last question. It says, what about soft skills?
I got 129 soft skills. Call me.
Okay,
But
awesome.
I also want to thank you very much for being our moderator. It's meant the world to me, and I don't know how many people are on the call. It doesn't matter if it was just one. It means the world to try to share with fellow small business owners. I'm right there with you. There's nothing special about me. It's just my way of trying to connect to the professional world right now and feel like we're still all in it together, because we are, and we can help support each other. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thank you to all of our attendees. I do want to mention just a couple housekeeping items that all of the recordings of our webinars can be found at bbbevents.org, and you can also see which webinars we have coming up. We also have created a resource page called bbbshoplocal.org, where all accredited businesses in our service area can list their current hours of operations, their contact information, and ways that consumers can help them. So if you haven't already, be sure to reach out so we can get you listed there. And finally, I want to mention the launch of our Brunch with Bbb podcast, where myself and my coworker Louise have been welcoming different guests. This week features the president and CEO of the North Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association to talk about reopening and perspectives from business owners and consumers. So be sure to check out those resources. Again, thank you for joining us. A special thanks to you, Betty, for sharing your professional insight with us today. And I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Thanks, Catherine. Have a great day.